Going live. Awesome. All right. Welcome, everyone, to How to From Home with Kids Without Losing Your Mind. This is Nina Nelson, creator of Hello Mama and creator of Tiny Owl Creative. And I am here with my friend and co-conspirator of all the things that are fun and awesome in my world, Dusty Arab. Dusty is a creative nonfiction writer, and she works on a ton of different things from memoir, marketing. She's one of the most amazing women that I know, and she has so much business experience. She's run cafes, she's been writing for the startup scene, currently a copywriter for top coaches and creatives, and best of all, she's my friend. So I am so happy to introduce you to her. Hello. Hello, dear friend.
Hello there. Oh my gosh, Nina, you're going to make me cry right at the beginning of the call.
That was
not that kind of call.
No tears, no tears.
Beautiful. Yeah, before we go on too much further, Nina has this funny habit of always understating her own business experience here. She has grown Shalom Mama to a top 15 natural living blog. Among many other things, she is a published author, and it's just an absolute privilege to get to be part of Tiny Owl Creative with her. So. Nina, do you want to tell them a little bit about what Tiny Owl Creative is about and why we ended up starting it?
Yes. So Tiny Owl Creative is our brainchild that really started as an agency to help creatives do the things that they do in business and leave the rest up to us. And it's kind of morphed into this movement started really that is focused on helping you create a life and business you love. And we really emphasize self-care as the way to be more productive, just to get more enjoyment out of life and business and everything you do. We're here to really inspire people, share our stories, share what we've done that's worked, what's not worked, and what we've learned from it. But yeah, it's here for creative people who just want more out of life and business. If you can add anything to that, that's I see it as.
Absolutely. I think you pretty much nailed it there. And that's a perfect segue to talk about Tiny Challenges. So if you're here, you've probably been partaking in the Tiny Challenges. We have a hashtag, and if you're not involved in it yet, it's free. It's 30 days of prompts with little bitty challenges to help you take better care of your life and your business, just to take better care of you. And the reason that we started that was because just over a year ago, Nina and I were both seriously at the end of our chain. Our businesses were suffering, our attitudes were bad, we had some seriously unhappy spouses and children, and finally Nina calls me up and was like, "We're piecing out for 2 days, are you free?" And I made myself free. So we ended up going up to this beautiful little cabin in Mount Hood for a couple of days and just basically having a self-care binge. We went out for a fancy dinner, we did yoga, we would randomly burst into giggles in the hot tub while we drank Prosecco. Awesome. It was, oh my gosh, it was amazing. And we realized at the end of that shouldn't be this big special thing just to get away for 2 nights. Because it had literally been years since either of us had had that much time away to just take care of ourselves for a little bit and fill us back up. So we started Tiny Challenges because you can have that on a regular basis just by taking these little teeny tiny steps. So at any rate, there's a lot of people in it. We're up to over 500 people who are doing Tiny Challenges right now, so it's really exciting. And that's, part of the lead-in for today. So we're doing this call now, how to work from home with kids without losing your mind, because a year ago we were totally losing our minds. We were struggling a lot with this. So we wanted to talk about some of the unique challenges that come with being a work-at-home mom and why self-care is such a crucial piece of getting past that. So we've got three major takeaways today, and Nina is going to take you here and talk about the first one.
Thank you. So the first that we recommend, and I guess we should say, Dusty has two kids, and they are, how old are they again?
3 and 6.
And 6. So just now in school. So she has really been building her business as a mom the entire time. And then I have 4 kids. So that's a whole lot of crazy right there, all the time. So really we use some takeaways so that you can do this right now today. And part of the webinar is aimed at leaving you with some tiny challenges that you can use today, right now, to create more in your life, to work from home without losing your mind. And the first tip, I guess not first tip, our first section is map out your existing schedule. So first we want to recommend is, instead of fighting it, work with it. So that means taking a look at your schedule and saying, okay, do I have space? Because a lot of time people are like, I have no time for that, I have no time for this. And I mean, I've done the same myself so many times. Really, when I sat down and said, okay, I need much time to work in my business, where can I do that? And then I looked at it and saw, okay, so my kids are up usually at this time. So that gives me some time in the morning uninterrupted where if I were to get up earlier, just a little bit earlier, I could get some more done. And then looking at, okay, right here is when they're usually, doing whatever. I was homeschooling for the last 5 years, and this year my kids are in school. So this is a whole new set of free time that I'm not used to. But what I did before they went to school was look at, okay, they're taking a break from school right now, and they're going to go outside and play, and we're going to take a break until after lunch. So I can work here. So look at your schedule right now. Like, when do you have to get up? When do the kids go to school? Or when do you start schooling in the day? When do you drop them off at childcare or preschool or whatever? When do you make dinner? When does everybody go to bed? Take a look at your existing schedule now and see what's there, because often we have this idea in our minds like, I have no time, but when we really stop and finally look at the time that we have, we see, oh, okay, yeah, actually I do have time. I have time here, 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 and here. So our tiny challenge for you right now, well, you don't have to do it right now, but you could write this down right now, what to do, is to grab a piece of paper and map out your whole entire day. So write down when you get up, when you take kids to school or childcare or start school, when you take breaks, when you do your work. And if you don't have a designated time to do work, doing this schedule is really going to help you to map that out and put that in there. So write every single thing down so that you can see where you have those holes, where you can be doing what you want to be doing instead of feeling like you just got no time. Do you have anything to add to that one, Dusty?
Just that for any of you who haven't seen yet, for the follow-up to Tiny Challenges, we've actually created this course called Take Back Your Time. And this is one of the modules that we go seriously in depth on because it is so important. Because I don't have enough time or I don't have any help is such a big mind block for most women to get over. It definitely was for us. So this is something we actually have worksheets and things to go through. So I did want to mention that, if you find yourself struggling to just systematically get through all of it, we do offer more support for that.
Sweet. Yes. Because sometimes it's so much easier to get things done or to talk with somebody who's already done it, and it just sparks that idea, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I totally can do this or whatever. So I know that was really helpful for me. Back to your existing schedule. So I love introspection and assessments and taking a look at what you're doing now. Because when you can take a look at what you're doing now and see what's not working, not only does it give you that awareness of, okay, something's not working, but you can figure out from there how you're going to fix it. So our second tiny challenge for you is to do a time assessment. And basically what that looks like is getting another piece of paper. I love paper, and writing things down. So that's those are my tiny challenges for you. You always want to have paper and pen on hand. So how much time do you spend working? How much time do you spend cooking, cleaning? How much time do you spend worrying about your business? Because I know for me, I mean, for a long time, that took up a lot of my time, a lot of energy that I was spending just worrying about not having enough time. It's crazy. How much time do you spend checking Facebook? You know, all of those things that you have to do in a day. It's time to take a look at those things and figure out how much time you are actually spending on them. So our tiny challenge is to think back over the last 24 hours and write down how much time you spent on each category. Now, if you can't remember, like if you're like me and you brush your teeth and then you turn around and they're like, did I brush my teeth? Crap, I don't think I did. And then you do it again. This, you can just keep track for tomorrow or for the next 24 hours, because I know for me, thinking back to what I had for breakfast is challenging. So get a journal. Yeah, it's bad. Get a journal, get some, a pen. And for the next 24 hours, if you have mommy brain like I do, keep track of where you are spending your time. And you might be surprised. You might be like, oh, geez, I spent like 3 hours on Facebook yesterday. Oops. Or you might be like me and be, oh my gosh, it only took me 5 minutes to load the dishwasher. Or, oh my gosh, it only took me, 15 minutes to do this task that I thought took forever. That was actually really empowering for me when we had a dishwasher, because it was a task that I hated and I'd put it off and I wouldn't do it. And then finally one day I timed it and I was like, oh, that took me 5 minutes. Okay, cool. And it kind of gave me this like, oh, I can do that. And it's not going to take me much time. So this is a two-part thing of seeing where you are spending your time and just getting awareness for how much time those routine tasks actually take you. Because I find when you know exactly how much time something is going to take you, it's way easier to carve that time out of your day and get in the mindset of, all right, I'm doing it, than if you're just like dreading it all day, like, oh, it takes forever. So that was my part on mapping out your schedule.
Oh, can I interject?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you. So before we move on, just a couple of super helpful apps. So when it comes to mapping out your schedule and stuff, like something Nina mentioned that I think is so important is the social media thing. I will binge on social media and I will justify it until the cows come home, because I mean, my business is online. I'm doing work when I'm on Facebook, right? Which, is true to some extent. I mean, Nina and I both do a lot of business on Facebook because we do so much relationship marketing. But the fact is like, we all know better. One of my big things is like, oh, I don't have a TV. I never watch TV. Like, so I'm not wasting time in front of a screen, except that I waste like all of my time in front of a screen. So my way of helping combat that is actually this wonderful app called Rescue Time. So it's a Chrome extension. So go get it after this call. Just write it down. It's called Rescue Time, and it tracks the time you spend on different websites. So you can see down to the second exactly how much time you're wasting, and you can help put limits on it with another program that's also a Chrome extension called Stay Focused. And it will actually block you out of sites that you do not want to be allowed to go on if you have trouble controlling yourself like I do when you look at your phone every 2 seconds. So Stay Focused will help you by, you can block Facebook, you can block whatever, your news sites, whatever it is that you like to waste your time on. So if that's an area you're struggling in, those two apps have completely changed how I track my time, first of all, and second, how I get things done. So
awesome. I think you're the one that told me about Stay Focused, and that one is really good. And then you figure out how, I guess, addicted to Facebook you are when you're like,
God,
I just need 15 more minutes, just 15 more minutes. And you go in and you try to add that, and they're like, are you sure you want to do that? No, really, you probably shouldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, I know. Sorry, I am addicted to Facebook. It's great accountability. So Dusty is actually going to share next on systems because she is brilliant with that. And I asked if she would if she would share there. So what are your systems? What are systems? What are we doing with systems?
Great. Yeah, I know that systems isn't a real sexy word for a lot of us. Like, I know I'm an ENFP for anybody who loves Myers-Briggs. So systems, I feel like I used to think they were so constricting. And I felt like that was a way of putting a chokehold on my creativity. I was like, oh, structured, that's not really, I don't need that. I don't want that. And I couldn't have possibly been more wrong. But a few years ago, I had the privilege of working under Charlie Gilkey, and he taught me a lot about how the right systems and structure really could enhance your creativity versus hindering it. And that was a complete shift for me in the way that I worked. So the way that I define system is a practical ritual that supports your most creative self and your best lifestyle.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, thank you. So the idea of a ritual, again, that wasn't something that I personally found particularly appealing initially, but the idea of it being something practical that I do because it's supporting me, that I can get on board with. So one of my systems, one of my practical rituals is I get up, I'm a morning bird. I love getting up early and making sure that I'm up moving around before my kids are. And even if it's only for 10 minutes, it completely changes how I go through the rest of my day. So if I've got 10 minutes, I get up at 6, I get up, I start my coffee, and I sit with my notebook for a few minutes and just breathe. And if I feel like writing, I write. And I just sit there and enjoy the quiet for a little bit. And I know that that is something that absolutely supports my best lifestyle. I mean, that caffeine kick right in the morning, very necessary. But aside from that, and me having an addiction problem, it is such a wonderful little reminder that even from the beginning of my day, I have the choice to be creative. And just that reminder that I'm making this choice is a huge part of what makes practical rituals so powerful to me. So your first tiny challenge for exploring systems is to define your best times of day. So some people are night owls, some people are morning people. Maybe your best work chunk is right at 1 o'clock and that's what you've got going on. So I want you to define your best times of day, and I want you to structure your work time around those as much as possible. And trust me, I know exactly how difficult that can be, especially my daughter just started first grade. So I'm operating on the public school schedule, which I've never had to do before. Excuse me. And so, I have to be dropping her off at 8 and going and picking her up at 2. And that, I'm not gonna lie, it has been such a pain in the butt because having to drop her off between 7:30 and 8:15 and the time it takes to walk her there and back, that's right in the middle of my prime work period. So I've had to shift that a little bit. And, and that's part of the reality, like Nina said, of doing your time assessment. Don't fight it. Just don't fight it. It's not worth it. So I started getting up a little earlier, and that's how I get my work time in the morning now. But, for, say, if you have, if you've got a little one running around, I have my son during the day most of the times. And, our screen time is scheduled strategically. So, when mom needs to get work done, or I've got, for instance, a webinar that I need to run, or whatever the case may be, that's when we decide to use up our screen time. We don't do a lot of it, but if he wants to do, one episode of something while I'm working on something important, I feel like that's a really smart use of my time. And it doesn't feel like I'm just parking him in front of something all the time. It's just an occasional thing. And that helps me stick to those best times of day. Something else that's important about systems, moving on, is that no one else's system will work exactly right for you. And I feel like this is so important to mention because so many of these different productivity systems are so you have to have this specific notebook and do it this specific way. And the reality is most productivity systems are not meant, first of all, for extroverts. Second, they're constructed in such a way that the way you feel is basically neglected. And frankly, Nina and I both think that's pretty ignorant. If you're not feeling something, there's probably a reason for that. And whether that is, not being sure how to proceed on a project or feeling fear coming up somewhere, that's a feeling that needs dealt with. But we really, really want to push that no one else's system will work exactly right for you. There's just a certain amount of playing with things and trying different things and figuring out what fits you and your personality and your lifestyle that is just so necessary. So the tiny challenge associated with that is to write down the tips or, the life hacks or whatever you want to call them that have previously worked for you. For example, working in bursts, like the Pomodoro technique, the one thing in, one thing out. So for systems of how you're managing household goods and things. I come from a minimalist background. I used to blog about that a lot, and one of the most important things that I promoted there was the idea of for everything that comes into your house, something else is leaving. So, and that could be something that really works for you, maybe not. So explore some different productivity techniques and see what's working for you. You don't need to try everything at once, but if there are little things you already know that work, write those down. Oh, right. I almost forgot. I got so frustrated with other people's productivity systems, I made my own. So I made something called the Work at Home Productivity Packet, and it's a free download. You'll see it if you're at the tinylcreative.co/webinar page watching right now, it is on that page. So feel free to download it, play with it. There's a recording of how to use it. So if that works for you, awesome, go for it.
Cool. Did you cut in and out a little bit there?
Did I? Oh, I hope I didn't. I'm sorry if I did.
Okay. I couldn't hear you for a second, and I'm hoping that it was just you. But just in case, can you tell them where to find the Work at Home packet again?
Sure thing. So in case you didn't hear, to get the Work at Home Productivity Packet, it's free. It's available for download at www.tinylcreative.co/webinar. And it'll be right down there at the bottom underneath the lovely little video.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So finally, just my last little bit here on systems is that it's not just life and business. That there's so many things here that try and separate them into these little buckets. Right now I'm doing business, and right now I'm living, and systems should support the way that you live, and doing business is part of the way you're choosing to live because you work at home. So having systems around food, preparing for work, cleaning, any of that, anything you can develop a system around is going to serve you better because it's going to make you more efficient, and then you'll have more space and more time to do what you actually want to be doing. Mm-hmm. So the tiny challenge around that is try meal planning for 3 days. Just three. Don't do the whole week. Don't worry about going for a month because that's crazy talk. Start small and use as much of what's already in your cupboards as possible. But meal planning is one of those things that if you never have to ask what's for dinner ever again, how good would that make you feel?
Oh my gosh, it's the best. Seriously, so good.
All right. Do you want to take it to the next section, Nina?
Yes, as soon as my brain starts working again. That'd be awesome. Okay, so now we want to talk about sacred space and sacred time, because both of us have really found that it's true, life, business, really not from each other. I mean, it's so great to have systems around cooking and cleaning and, all of that. And it's also great to recognize that it's all happening all together. So if you can create some sacred time and sacred space in your day, even if you think, oh, this is just something I'm doing in my personal life, it is really, really going to affect your business in a positive way. So this is something we both really love talking about. So our first point that we wanted to make was that your schedule probably is not dependent on somebody else's schedule. I mean, unless you have a very, very young infant who is, who's nursing and needs attention, your schedule probably is your own to decide what to do with. And I know that for some of us, that's really hard to hear, because that's a really, really great excuse and a really great reason to not take care of yourself. But really, in most cases, whatever is coming up, it can wait. They can wait. So if somebody needs something for you right now, so maybe you're working in your business and somebody's like, oh, I need you to get this to me now. I need this graphic, or I need, whatever. Like, whatever you do, it can wait. If that is going to throw off your whole day and put you in a tailspin and make you feel like you've completely lost track of your day, just realize it can wait. So this comes down to prioritizing your own time as your own time, and making sure that what you're doing in that time is what you intend to be doing during that time. So working. So maybe that looks like, going to work and turning off the internet connection if you're writing, or being very clear about these are my work hours and this is what I do in those work hours, and then letting people know that. So maybe you get an email, maybe you have an auto response, or you write them back and say, awesome, thanks. I get that stuff taken care of in this time. Because we really want you to recognize that your time is sacred. I mean, you only have so much time in a day. And if you're constantly being pulled back and forth by everyone else's desires and needs and demands of you, then you are going to, continue to feel like, man, I just don't have enough time for anything. And it's really how we have, or at least for me anyway, how I've been able to work at home with 4 kids while I was homeschooling without losing my mind, was because they know, mom is working. I need to wait. I mean, unless there is a fire or somebody is bleeding, and we say except for nosebleeds, because our kids get nosebleeds all the time, then they know, don't bother mama because daddy's somewhere else, which they never go to daddy when I'm working. It's crazy. But they know, she's working. Like right now, mama's on a call, leave her alone. Even though my youngest totally forgot about it, but it's okay because we can mute ourselves. So there's always a way to work around it, but it's important to know your time is important. So just realize it can usually wait. So our tiny for that is to block 2 completely works for this week. So
Nina?
Yeah, what?
Your sound cut out there for a second on the tiny challenge. Can you say that one more time?
Oh, yeah, totally. So the tiny challenge is to block off 2 completely solo work blocks for this week. Just 2. And Dusty, could you share how you've been working? Because I really like how you told me about the 90 minutes, and
yes,
it'd be helpful for this tiny challenge to give an example.
Absolutely. So I'm very opinionated when it comes to work hours. That's why I'm a freelancer. I think working 40 hours a week is stupid. I think it's stupid. I think it's a total waste of your time. And here's why. Because the part of your brain that controls willpower only has 60 to 90 minutes of juice in it. That means you're only going to be able to sit there and write or, design or whatever it is you do for a maximum of 90 minutes, and then you're going to do that thing where you're spacing out and you're trying to work, but you just can't. You hit the wall, and there's nothing you can do. Get up, get away from your desk, and go for a walk. Take the kiddo with you, let them run out some energy, and that's just the way that it is. We were not meant to sit at desks all damn day. It doesn't work. That is not what our bodies were created for. We were created for movement. So respect that, respect your body. So for me, on a good day, I can typically get in 2 work blocks, 2 90-minute work blocks. And during those, I get into flow, and I get more done than most people will do in a 40-hour week, working a 12 to 15-hour week. So sometimes if I'm doing really well, I can get in 3, and then I feel like a total boss. But the reality is that these 90-minute chunks of time are really all you should budget for. Like, don't try I mean, you can if you want to, if it's the only way you can make it work, trying to get in like 6 solid hours of work, go ahead, try it, but at least get up for 10 minutes at a time, and take a walk, do something else, get out of in front of the screen, because your brain needs some time to recharge that. You run out of willpower, and then you just end up on Facebook.
But it's okay because we're making money on Facebook, right?
Right, there we go. If you're setting up an ad campaign on Facebook, forget it, ignore me, whatever. But if you're doing if you're doing what Nina and I usually do, and you're just talking to your bestie and wasting time on Facebook and sharing cat videos, get off.
Yeah, I have a good one for you, actually. I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really love Dusty's way that she does that, and I've been trying that, and I have to say it is so helpful for me. So I know that for some of you that just won't work, but I encourage you to try it and find what does work. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours, whatever. But find those blocks of time, write them down, like in your calendar, put them on your schedule so that you get to work. And my recommendation for that is when you do sit down to get your stuff done, have like one thing that you're working on. Maybe two. Like if done with that first one, be like, okay, when I'm done with that, I'll move on to this. But really, if you sit down and you only have 90 minutes and you haven't prioritized what needs to get done now, it's going to be really stressful. So my tidbit before going into those work blocks is just to make sure that you have your top, 2-3 things that need to get done during this time, but try to focus on one at a time. All right, moving on. Next slide. So excuses. I have a bit of a pet peeve when it comes to excuses. I get really irritated by them, and I'm sorry, but most of the time when you say, I can't do this because, it's an excuse. And I know this because I am really, 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 really good at making excuses. And oftentimes what that boils down to is being afraid. Usually if I don't have enough time to reach out to this client, or I don't have enough time to, usually it's around marketing. Like for me, as somebody who's always been really, really shy, and like Dusty said, I have a hard time talking about myself and, the stuff that I've done. So for me, that fear comes down to marketing and telling people about me. And after a lot of introspection, which, I love, and list making, all that, I realized that I'm really afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of people being like, why would we want to work with you? Or, why would we hire you? You suck. And knowing that, being, oh, okay, I don't want to reach out to people with my services because they're going to think I suck. Knowing that helps me to see, okay, I'm making excuses here. All right, I get that. I own that. What can I do now instead? And that awareness also helps me to recognize that that's not even true.
Right? How many people have ever said that to you, Nina, about anything?
Just me, Oh, that sucks. Mostly, it's good feedback. So a lot of the times our excuses are there because we're afraid to do something. And those fears are usually always fueled by is that we have to believe is true. So when you can recognize, okay, I'm making an excuse right now. I'm actually just afraid that I'm going to get overbooked and I'm not going to have enough time for my family. So I'm not reaching out and getting this stuff done or the people that I need to talk to. And then you can say, well, I can schedule in time with my family and I know how to do that. And they are priority to me. So take responsibility for excuses, because that helps you to uncover the lies behind the fears that you've been believing that have been holding you back. Because how much more productive could you be in that 90-minute block of time if you're not spending 60 minutes of it telling yourself, I can't do this, or, I really shouldn't do this. It's going to help you to more creative and productive and all those other fun businessy words that we like to throw around. But really, it's going to help propel you a lot farther in your business. Because for me, once I saw, okay, yeah, I actually do good design work and people actually really like it, I can start talking to people about it and get more clients. Yeah,
Nina,
what?
Your sound just went out. Can you repeat the last thing you said about design?
I forgot. Oh
I
yeah,
think you were. I think you were just. Yeah, go ahead.
once I saw that I was actually really good at design, I could reach out and get more clients, which has led to a lot more income in my business. So it's really good to take responsibility for those excuses, to kind of dig down a little bit deeper. So our tiny challenge for that is to write down your top 3 excuses and then take a look at, okay, what am I afraid of here? And what does that mean? What lie is that bringing up? Because that awareness, even just having that awareness, will help you to take the right steps forward. Can you hear me now? Am I good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Which brings me to my next most favorite topic is self-care. I love self-care. I don't know about you. Actually, I know. You're like the self-care queen.
Self-care is my favorite. For anybody who doesn't know, I went through like a super, super messy divorce like 6 months ago. And so the last 6 months has basically just been all about me taking care of myself and learning how to really do an excellent job of that. And like, because I mean, I thought I was good at self-care before, but like, I didn't even know. Like, and Nina's come up here for retreats now. I got this beautiful little apartment in Northwest Portland, and it was totally my divorce present to myself. And Nina's come out here a few times, and we just spoil ourselves rotten when we're out here.
Yeah, you kicked it up like 1,000 notches, and I'm going to hang out with you. I'm like, oh, this is so fun. And we get so much done, which is awesome, because not only are we taking care of ourselves and having a great time, but oh my gosh, we just increased our revenue and got all these great ideas. So we are huge fans of self-care, which is why we recommend scheduling tiny breaks and rituals in your day to increase productivity. Now, this may seem kind of counterintuitive to you because you're like, no, you know, I've got to keep working. If I stop working, then I lose my momentum and, you know, whatever. But Dusty's already mentioned that we run out of juice after a certain period of time. And I don't know about you, but some get to that point, I'm like, but I must keep pushing. I must. And really, once I get to that point, anything I do after that is just crap. I mean, I can't write anything. My creativity goes out the window. What would normally take me like 5 minutes to do takes me 15. And then even then, it's not very good. So we are huge fans of taking just tiny breaks in your day, creating tiny little rituals. And when you do that, it just helps you to stop and recharge and get ready for the day, or get ready to keep going. So for me, my favorite tiny ritual that I do in the day to increase productivity is actually after I'm done working, after I'm done, you know, with the stuff in the day, is at 4 o'clock, I brew a cup of tea. I sit down and I enjoy my tea, and or I talk to my husband, and that is my 4 o'clock tea break. And I am having that every single day, because what happens when I don't take it is I transition out of work into making dinner and getting everybody ready, you know, for bedtime and all that. If I don't take that break, I am not a very pleasant person to be around, which my family can totally attest to. But when I take that break, it's just 15 minutes. Sometimes I'll stretch it out to 20 or longer. Maybe it's and have a glass of wine too, you know, whatever. But it's just this
no judgment.
No judgment. You know, wine goes with everything. But it's just this short break that I take, and when I'm done with that, I've had time to kind of focus on something else. Then I can get up and go about what I need to do with so much more energy, you know, so much more excitement, and actually looking forward to it instead of dragging myself. It's like dragging a dead body, like maybe not a dead body, maybe dragging a toddler.
I'm sorry, that was just so graphic, Nina.
Sorry, I'm married to a paramedic. It's trying to get stuff done. A toddler screaming and crying onto your ankle. You know how you're trying to walk while they're holding on to you and you're like, ugh. Where instead, if you just picked them up for 5 minutes and took care of them, they'd be fine. But instead you just push forward and keep dragging and hoping it'll stop. That's what it's like. So take the time to take care of yourself, because 15 minutes can just completely change your entire workday. So yeah, I could talk about that for a long time, but I will stop there.
Beautiful. Well, We actually annihilated that content. So just a quick recap. You've been given a handful of different tiny challenges. We've gone over our 3 biggest things for helping work-at-home moms be more productive, mapping out your systems. Oh my gosh, I just navigated away. Your time and your space is sacred, and to map out your schedule. That's in the wrong order, but they're all there. They're all important. So it's a quick recap. But Nina, it looks like we have time for some questions. Do we have a way of taking some of those? Can we turn on that little chat room?
I will turn it on in uno momento.
Awesome. So yeah, while Nina's figuring that out, I'm pretty sure we can take questions through there. So be thinking of if you have any questions about any of the material. And while she's prepping that, I do want to take this time to talk a little bit more about Take Back Your Time. It's a brand new course from Tiny Owl Creative. It's a follow-up to the free Tiny Challenges program, and we are just beyond excited to get started on it and to talk about it, because it's very much designed around a lot of these things we talked about today to help integrate sustainable self-care into your life and your business so that you can really take better care of both. It's a 4-week course with the intent of helping you create the environment, systems, and support you need so you can reach the goals that matter most to you. So, among other things, we'll talk more about how to build customized systems to get more done in less time, including letting you in on some of the systems that Nina and I use so you can see kind of how we set those things up, the secret to consistent, sustainable productivity and different ways to implement that. You can probably guess self-care has a lot to do with it. Right, just a little bit. By a little, we mean everything. And what needs to shift to create an abundance of time and cash flow. One of the things that we mentioned was, since last May when we took that first retreat, and since then we've taken one every single quarter, sometimes more than one in a quarter, if it's been especially stressful. But since that's happened, both Nina's business and my business, we have separate businesses in addition to Tiny Owl, have both increased in profit by 30% over the past year. And that has just been, it's the biggest jump either one of our businesses have ever seen, and we completely attribute it to learning how to create these systems that make self-care sustainable and make it a part of our lives. So we're thrilled to offer it. There's a self-study version, there's a group coaching version, and there's even a version where you can work individually with Nina and I as your coaches. So,
oh my gosh, how much fun is that going to be?
So excited.
Yes. Okay, so I apologize, you guys, but I am trying to turn on the Q&A feature, and every time I click that little button, it says this feature is disabled, and it won't give me any way to turn it on. So I'm really sorry. We're looking forward to talking to you and answering questions and all that.
If you have any questions, actually, just go ahead and go drop them on the Tiny Owl Creative Facebook page, and we will make sure to answer every single one. Yes. Whether that's a question about Take Back Your Time, or if it's a question about anything related to the material we talked about today.
Awesome. Yep. We sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I am so excited that you guys all decided to join us today. We have 5 viewers. Thank you. Hello. We wish we could talk to you and answer your questions, but we are so grateful that you are taking part of this movement. We love seeing all of your Instagram photos and Facebook shares talking about the tiny challenges that you're doing, and we are so excited to share about taking back your time and working from home and just all that self-care, everything that falls in that wonderful self-care bubble of goodness. So thank you so much for joining us today. Dusty, thank you. It has been fun, as usual.
Thank you.
And
yay, thank you for joining, everyone.
You guys have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you soon.